Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network, for any and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, as always, Katie, and joining me, as he has for the past month and a half, it's the final episode before Clay is back.
Yes,
So, how you feeling?
I'm
Are you ready
feeling
to be done with
good.
me?
No, I've had fun. I've had a lot of fun.
Yay, I'm glad. Well, y'all, today is the 100th episode for Star Wars Alliance Extraordinaire. And yes, I know I've kind of cheated on a couple episodes by not giving them an episode number, but you know what? We're here. We passed 100 at this
I'm
point,
not
but this
judging.
is
I mean, you're not
we
gonna
had
hear anything from
stopped
me.
we didn't count a couple episodes, and so that was kind of like a
Those are bonus episodes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So, y'all, we have a couple guests, but before I bring them on, I'm gonna go through the podcast paperwork and then we will welcome them to the show. So, like I said, we are part of Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network. You can check out all 8 shows in the description box below for show air times. And we appreciate you following along with us. Everybody puts in great work on the network. So thanks for being here. There are 3 ways to support us as a podcast and a network as a whole. The first way is via Patreon, where we have 2 tiers. The $1 tier helps keep the Kyber crystals charging on here, and the $5 tier gets y'all ad-free episodes, exclusive episodes, and any early episodes we may drop. That tier right now also allows you access to our Patreon exclusive call-in show, which we will be having our first episode airtime, whatever you want to call it, this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The second way to support us is by listening to the ads on this show. Yes, we're an ad-supported show, ad-supported network. I will give you a warning before those ads are to occur, but just so you know now, we don't get to choose who the ads are from, nor how many times you hear the same ad in the same episode, nor how low those ads are. So that warning just to help you prepare those volume levels. Again, we appreciate it. The third and final way to support us is by rating and reviewing us on your favorite podcatcher of choice. Those reviews, ratings, whatever you want to do, helps put us into the feeds of other listeners who may not be following us on social media. Nailed it.
I'm proud of you. You got it.
Thanks. And of course, y'all, there is a giveaway going on. I will be announcing those winners either tomorrow or Friday. This week has been incredibly busy, a lot more busy than I thought. But as a reminder, the first person I pick is going to get the Phase 2 High Republic novels. If you're international, I will send you the value on Amazon. Second place gets the current Charles Soule comics and his Kira series, including the War of Bounty Hunters companion. And again, if you're international, I will send you an Amazon gift card for the value. So be on the lookout for that in the next couple of days. With that, I'm going to welcome the lovely Minok Manor boys who have graciously decided to join us and play. I'm sorry, Minok Manor boys. Clay, hello.
I just wanted to jump on real quick because I know that this is the 100th episode, and I was a little narcissistic and like, you can't do it without me. Like, why would y'all do that? But I am on dad duty, so I do have to go pretty soon. So I just wanted to say that being on this show has been amazing. My bookshelf has become fuller for it. So thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
I have jumped into the lore of Star Wars more than I ever thought I could because of this show, and I think I am better for it. So, I will say, here's to 100 more. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Amen.
All right, so I will jump off, and y'all have fun tonight.
Have a good one, Clay.
Thanks. Bye, Clay. All right, Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hi,
Chris,
thanks.
welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. That was so perfectly timed. I
Yeah.
had to have done that on purpose.
He stole your spotlight real quick.
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
He was totally listening and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pop in right now.
Now.
I'm gonna do it."
Oh, we love
So,
it.
yes. So y'all, we actually had a ton of news drop this week, with related to Star Wars movies, as a matter of fact. But because we had 7 episodes of television drop today, we are going to be pushing that to next week.
Yeah.
Because despite my love for Star Wars episodes today, they still can't get their shit together with publicizing these things. So,
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too because like the way that this news drops is like Variety will say something once. Suddenly everyone's
mhm.
copying Variety, and then 2 days later they've got the whole outline. So it's
Yeah.
like who knows? In 4 days we'll have the title and the character list and the set list. Like I don't know how
Yeah,
this culture works, but
and especially
I just sit on the
considering
receiving end.
right,
yeah,
right.
and especially considering the news for the movie dropped at like midnight Sunday.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
okay, clearly you didn't want anybody paying attention to this.
Mhm.
Just well, if you say a Star Wars movie is coming out Sunday at midnight and no one knows, at least no one's going to be tweeting about how it's not coming, right?
True.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
They're adapting.
All right,
Right, right.
y'all. So we're going to jump in to Andor episode 8, non-spoiler thoughts first, and then we'll jump into spoiler thoughts. Doing it this way, because a lot of people I talked to said they were gonna try and watch Andor and then get to Tales of the Jedi later. So this way it's hopefully an order where you can pause and come back. But if not, you can make sure to check out the timestamps below, so you can jump to the appropriate points. So with that, I have marked the time. Gonna say that every single time, so I make sure.
I'm proud of you. It's
Thank
working.
you. Okay, so Chris, you're gonna start us off and we'll just rotate
Okay.
around. So what did you think of episode 8 for Andor?
So I always wake up on Wednesday mornings. I don't wake up early. But the first thing I do is I go on Disney Plus and then I'm like, how long is this episode? And seeing 57 minutes on the runtime today, I was like, that's half of Kenobi's runtime. What is going on here? But man, I have not watched a show in such a long time that's 51 minutes, give or take the credits, that has kept me engaged almost the entire time. And never once am I like checking my phone to be like, how long do we have left? Even some of the like Book of Boba Fett's, I was like, shoot. I mean, this is a 30-minute episode, and I'm like 10 minutes in. But man, it's such an engaging, especially like to one to wake up to every morning, and still have 5 episodes. But man, it's like everyone talks about how tense they are, and I
Mhm.
get that. But this one was very much like there's a different feeling. One of the things that I love, and I won't get into it before the timestamp again, is like this is one of the shows where I've empathized most with the main character. Like
Yeah.
everything that Cassian feels, I think we feel. And this week gave us such a weird, like in a way, the mundanity of fascism. And I kind of felt like that mundaneness sinking into me. And I'm wowed by the way that it draws us into this empathetic connection with him. Um,
Yeah. The script writer for this episode and the next 2 episodes is Beau Willimon, who actually was a member of the House of Cards writers room.
okay.
So he
Okay.
has like the political show leanings. And I think he did an incredible job showcasing things articulately.
Hmm.
While also, like, my sister watched it and she didn't even bring up like, oh, the parallels. Like she just watched it and enjoyed like seeing things happen. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great balance to add.
Yeah, I will
All
say
right.
too, like a show that like it's amazing that this is a show where I'm like I love like the whole thing, but I'm always like, give me back to Mothma's apartment. For some reason,
Yep.
this is the only show where I'm like, the dinner party is where I'm in. I am clued in here. I love Cassie and I love Ferrex, but I'm like, no, bring me back to dinner. I wanna listen to these like little fireside chats. Come on. Like
Yes.
that's just amazing. That's not what I thought. Like after Phantom Menace, and after everyone complains about the banking episodes of Clone Wars, for it to lean so fully into just people trying to talk about voting, I'm like, dang, this is compelling. This is high stakes.
Yep. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
Kind of echoing Chris a little bit there is, even if it's episode where it's just they're in a dinner party or there's just basically kind of like talking about, it's just the way the script's been written. There's a lot of like tension in every conversation. Just watching Genevieve O'Reilly like kind of like bounce back and forth between being under the scenes with Tay and then going to like being kind with her husband or something. It's just something about that. Like every morning, we're getting that kind of quality of like acting. These characters are just, with the writing that they have so much to do that they could just stand around and talk for the entire 51 minutes. I'd be glued to my seat, just like wanting to go back to every moment. Just like, okay, let's go back to that character too for a little bit. I want to see what's happening here with the Empire, and I kind of actually care about the Empires, like Deidre a little bit, in the sense of like how she's overcoming the obstacles of her position and the people she's with, and yet you gotta hate her because she is the Empire, and what she's doing is just I couldn't stand by it, but do kind of want to see her win and then lose really badly.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Yeah. Zach, what do you got?
So this episode made me feel sick. Like in a good way. Like I was very compelled throughout. Like I think that harkens back to what Chris was talking about with feeling empathetic towards Cassian. You're feeling everything he's going through, and he's, it's non-spoiler right now, but he does not go through some good stuff in this episode, guys. So I think that's kind of, putting it lightly. Yeah, I think that's putting it lightly, but like, and you feel that, like you really, and not just him, like everyone around him, you get to feel that like sense of not just being uncomfortable, but literally being tortured, for lack of a better term. And I felt that, like I felt like I was really getting into all of that. And then it would, like you said, it'd flash back to the Mon Mothma scenes, and then I'd get a nice little reprieve for a little bit where I'm like, okay, something nice and political, and I can kind of just zone in on the words. And then it'd flash back. And so, yeah, I think I really felt all the feelings they were hoping, the viewer would feel. And I definitely enjoyed this episode.
Yeah. I think it's a really well done episode. It's articulate while also keeping you engaged with every single one of the main characters. And that's hard to do with the 5+ main characters that they're balancing right now in the show. That has been my one complaint as we've gone on. People who've listened to the show for a while know that I'm a big stickler. If you entitle something after a specific character, I need to see more of that character than kind of anybody else. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I think the success of the show is that all the main characters are like foils for Cassian. Like I think the worst ensembles are ones where these characters are also here. I know, especially within your network, this is going to be a controversial thought, but Legends of Tomorrow, I don't think did it well all the time. Like there are definitely some times with Legends where I was like, okay, Mick is in this episode and they are desperate to get him this C plot, but they don't know what to do with him anymore. But
that whole writer's plot, I was driven mad by that.
Thank you. I'm glad. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. But like with Andor, everyone serves as a foil for Cassian. Everyone's holding a mirror up to him, just like Vel and Cinta were talking about. They're not just mirrors for each other, but they're mirrors for him. So it's like that keeps me engaged with all of them because they're teaching more about him, and it keeps them in the story in a way that's engaging and not like Hocus Pocus 2, where there's a side plot and you're watching it, but like you're like, what's this have to do with the main story? It's so bad. Anyway, that's my soapbox. But
I totally agree with that because at this point I don't even feel like they're parallel stories. Like I feel like they're literally right next to each other. Like if you were writing one plot line, you would see the other plot lines within view. Like and it's very clear that all of the, like we are getting all these individual plot lines that seem individual, but it's clear that they're all leading to a center focus. And like it doesn't seem like they're hiding that at all. So I'm completely on board with it right now.
Same, yeah.
That's a very good way to put it. I hadn't thought about that. But that's why I bring other people on the show, y'all.
Well, in
All right.
two, I think finally, like I say finally, but I don't even mean finally. Episode 8, and we're starting to see them intersect very explicitly. I said the word finally, but I don't mean it. I mean they have been intersected, but
Yeah,
it's amazing
it's
that
just more people in a concentrated area, really.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But when you think the rest of the Disney Plus shows, we've already exceeded most of them episode wise.
Yeah.
especially runtime
Mhm.
wise. And
Definitely runtime wise.
yeah, but now we're getting into the meat of it, and I'm still like, wow, I didn't even need this yet. I was still
Yeah.
engaged with their individual stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel too. I feel like they keep bringing stuff up where I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I'll watch this. I was not expecting this, but okay, I'm on board.
Right.
Yep. All right. Do we have anything else non-spoilery? Oh, the music.
Yeah.
Can't get over the music.
Mhm.
Lucasfilm, one of their best jobs has been bringing in the best composers to work on these shows. 100%, and that applies to Tales of the Jedi too. Just
Agreed.
skipping ahead a little bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
gotta say it.
We're music fans here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are. All right, are we ready for spoiler thoughts?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Okay. Time stamped.
I'm so
All right.
proud of you.
I'm trying, y'all. I gotta impress, okay? Gotta turn a new leaf.
I'm impressed.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Ryan, you're gonna kick us off this time. So what do you got?
I'm gonna throw this out there, and it's kind of like a small thought that I just had when I was kind of going through my own like review, and I'm kind of concerned about Lita right now, Mon Mothma's daughter.
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
Karen's like the red herring because she keeps like she randomly came up to Tay and Kolma
Yep.
or Tay and Mon last episode. Now she does it again this episode, and she's kind of just like, "You're him, aren't you?" She's like, and he's like, "Yeah, okay." And
I
she
kind
just
of wonder if
wanders
she thinks
away.
they're having an affair.
Yeah.
That's
Because-
what,
Okay, yeah.
She's like, so you're around all the time now, huh?
that's what I'm
Yeah.
at too.
Unless she's
Well,
just
we
kind of
know-
like Karen's, she's doing all the work for him, like
I kinda
investigating on
wonder-
his behalf.
I wonder if, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking was I wonder if he's like, when it's just the two of them, if he's like, I'm pretty sure your mom's cheating on me with that guy. And she's like, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And like, because he's clearly thinking that. I mean, he's not even hiding it at this point.
Hmm.
Like, he's so skeevy.
It makes you kind of wonder if she potentially can find out their secret if they're going to phrase the Gorman Accords? The Gorman
I know there's the Gorman
Laz-
massacre.
yeah. Whatever Mon Mothma says about it when she
Mhm.
finally speaks out on the Empire, if maybe Lita had gone to her and gone, I'm going to the Empire if you don't say something right now.
Mhm.
And like threatened to throw her under the bus, and so she took it instead of Lita. I don't know.
That's an interesting theory.
I like that, yeah.
It is funny though. I mean, we know from Princess of Alderaan that claiming infidelity is a great way to get the Empire off your back.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we don't want to deal with this. That's too
Yeah.
much drama for us.
Yeah. Rebellion we can't handle, but if you're cheating, that's your business. That's a limit.
Especially when Tarkin's involved. No.
Right.
Tarkin has
Um,
no time for that.
do y'all think we'll see Tarkin?
I'm hoping Yularen is the highest up we get, if I'm being honest. Okay, if we get an
Yeah.
appearance from anybody, I would like a secret Palpatine in the Senate appearance.
Mhm.
That's what I'm hoping for. Is just, everybody starts to think they're getting a one-up in the Senate, and then Palpatine shows up to drop another bomb and remind them of their place. That's what I'm hoping for. Tarkin, I know we're not. I kind of hope we're moving away from the CGI faces, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've been, traditionally not against them as much as most people, but I still would rather have traditional actors, if I'm being honest.
Once
Yeah.
45-year-old, 19-year-old Anakin Skywalker showed up in Obi-Wan, I was like, I don't hate this as much as I thought I would. This is
Exactly. Like, this is fine. I'm good with this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can make the mental like leap. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
totally okay.
Exactly.
The age goes away in my memories, so we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
bad like acid attack to the face whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so and anybody can kind of like chime in on this. So what did we think of Mon Mothma storyline in this episode?
I dug it. I dug it a lot. So I'm a big okay. I forget his name, but her fan. It's Tay Colma, I think.
Hey, Kolma.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, and I really hope he
Mhm.
does not turn out to be a bad guy, like you and I were kind of theorizing he might last week. He has the best clapbacks. Like, I loved when Perrin was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go get something to eat," and he's like, "Well, charity begins at home." I was like, "Oh my god, that's such a burn." So I really do hope he is. Okay, my theory right now is that he is genuine, and I'm worried he's gonna serve as a reminder to Mon Mothma of what happens. As in, I think he's gonna get caught by the Empire, and she's gonna be like, "Oh, I have to be a lot more tight knit about things."
Hmm.
And that might be where what's going on with her daughter comes in too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think we're seeing the push of this like centrist pacifism that we see all the time in Rebels and Aftermath come up. But what would losing Tay do to her? It doesn't radicalize her. Maybe it's what pushes her to accept Saw, at least for the little bit that she does.
Mm-hmm.
Because we
that's a
know
very
that
good
he does
point.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, oh my god, like when we flashed over to Benthic, I got chills. I was like,
I did
I
too. I
knew
was
this
like,
was in the trailer,
Yep.
but holy crap, it's now.
yeah,
Yeah. Matt was like telling me something from a trailer and was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna see this," and I'm not gonna say it because we didn't see it in this episode. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I think I've watched all the trailers you have, and he's like, "No, I saw it in a trailer," and I'm like, "Well, then clearly I didn't watch it." So we'll see what he.
you were
We'll see
texting while
if
he was watching that one.
It's-
maybe I don't know. I did pull out my phone today during one of the Tales of the Jedi episodes, but
we'll get to that one, I'm sure.
Ryan, anything on Mon Mothma?
I'm in the same boat with all that stuff. Every week is just, I kind of like, I almost want the show about her. But just at some point,
I love
I
Genevieve.
don't
She's
mind.
great.
Yeah. I think she's really earned that role beyond. I mean, now I'm like, why aren't the deleted scenes like re-added
Yes.
to the movie? Like
Special
at this point,
editions.
yes,
Yes.
her all the time as Mon Mothma is necessary to great success to any show, I guess.
Let her be the dark times everything comes together around. Any dark time show. Genevieve.
She's a Nick Fury.
Yes! She's putting together a rebellion. Did anyone else, this might just be me, but did anyone else go from Andor to seeing her in the episode of Tales of the Jedi? And just be like,
Yep.
whoa, I don't want to see these two next to each other.
So I watched Tales of the Jedi first, and so I was like, "Oh, Mon Mothma," and I was just like kind of cheerful about it for a
Yeah.
little bit.
And you're like, oh, she's in for a bad time a couple years
Yeah,
from now.
I was like, "Oh, this is just the start of your problems, girl."
Yeah.
I was literally like, doesn't wear black. Like I know it's a funeral, but I was like the Clone Wars animation. I was like, she doesn't wear black. And I was like, oh wait, she's totally in other colors for Andor. Like never mind. Just like shut up, Katie. So that was where my first thought went.
Oh, I'm gonna save that thought, but
I got you. Okay, so let's do Luthen and Clea next, and kind of that aspect. Who wants
That
to
was
go
a fun
first?
scene. That was a fun scene.
Yes, I really enjoyed them arguing, and we clearly see how much power Clea truly
Yes.
has.
Yeah,
a
Like,
woman with autonomy.
she
In a
she
Star
didn't.
Wars.
Yes.
He's clearly still in some position of power because she didn't. She made it clear like she couldn't make the call.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
he had to be the one to make the call, but she was all but telling him like, "You are not doing this." And
Yeah.
I really liked that scene. I mean, me and Katie talked about Clea a little bit last week. I have a crush on Clea, for if you guys aren't aware. So yeah,
Fair
I don't
enough.
know. I like strong women, so her yelling at Luthen was I was all for it. I was like, get him.
Mhm.
She and Billy Lord are like clones.
Hmm.
I said it last week, but
Oh, okay.
I'm
She
just
she was walking through in that little jumpsuit hooded thing, going to talk to
Mhm.
Vel, and I was like, "Princess Leia? Why is she in this show? She shouldn't be here yet." Like,
It's
That's
too soon.
I mean, it did sound like Luthen called her Leia like 6 times this episode.
He was saying Clea and not
Yeah.
Clea, and I was like, wait, what is it? Am
Sure.
I pronouncing it wrong?
whoever
Yeah.
like Luthen's coach was just like, say these names however it strikes you this time.
Yes.
Cassian Andor.
Yeah. Like the most Star Wars aspect of the show is that no one's name is the same. No two
Yeah.
people have the same name.
Yep.
depending on
Han, Han. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tradition as old as Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, it spells the planet's name on the screen. Very non-Star Wars. You need to find that out in a reference book 40 years from now.
Yeah.
But it says the name.
We're not supposed to know the name right away.
Yeah.
That's
You can't tell me
blasphemy.
Neamos. I need to find out this is Ilum 6 years from now.
Yeah.
Please.
oh my gosh, yeah. I'm so happy they're doing that though, because I like knowing where we are, and like obviously the planets we got today are like brand new, but it was still nice to like put a name to the location.
Yes.
And not only that, but like my big nerd thing is like, so I'm not gonna harp on this, but there's a lot of things from Andor that I'm like, there's some Star Wars elements that I'm missing from the show. I'd love some more
Mhm.
aliens. I'd
Yep.
love some more silly,
Mhm.
goofy.
I've talked about the need of aliens on here
Yeah.
before.
We need silly,
Yeah.
goofy stuff. I need an effed up looking doggy in this show, like yesterday. And but the thing that I love is we got the establishing shots for the planets again. Obi-Wan kept just like teleporting to these planets, but now we see them again. Like it's very like Lucas to see the whole planet
Yeah.
as the ship's coming down, and I love it. I'm so
Yeah.
thankful for that.
Agreed. I definitely agree about the need for silly stuff. Like I haven't really said that much, but like that, I feel like up until his arrest last week, our little trip to Space Florida kind of fulfilled that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that quite a bit, but yeah, it has felt, I mean, for lack of a better term, kind of bleak for the most part, and that's what the show's aiming for. But it does kind of feel a little counterintuitive to Star Wars as a whole.
Yeah.
That's the balance that I think that's going to be so hard to, because there's times where like Jar Jar steps in EOP poop, and you're like, well, that's not. You don't need to comedically relieve me from a movie that's not that dark.
Yeah,
And I know that anything like that would almost take you out of it, but like just like a spammel in the background or like a big stupid fish, like it would just be cool. A Rhodian in the
Or more
back
of
of the
that.
lineup.
More of that one extra who like hopped down onto the
Yes.
street.
Yeah, the real club shitto of the show.
yes, he's
Yeah.
the real hero. He's on a mission.
One hop at a time. He is our star hopper.
Yep. All right, and speaking of the bunny hopper, we do continue our trek back into the land of Ferrix, where we get to talk. Like we see Biggs. I think his name. What is his name? Barrow.
Brasso.
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 I love Brasso.
I'm so
Mhm.
bad with names, y'all. And then we see Marta.
Mhm.
So somebody talk me through their thoughts on those scenes and like kind of what happened.
I was really sad during the Marva scene, if I'm being 100% honest. Like it was very touching, but it was also really sad. Just the like, well, not so much her scene with Marva, more so Bix's conversation about Marva with Brasso,
Mm.
where she's
Yeah.
sitting, she's like she wants to rebel, like she's literally dying. Like it's very clear, like they're just kind of trying to make her comfortable at this point.
Mhm.
But she's still like, with everything she's got, she's trying to find like escape routes for rebels that she doesn't even know exists. She just knows there's rebels out there doing stuff, and she's gonna help them if they show up. And
Mhm.
like that touched me like deep in my heart, because I, in my personal life, I have days where I feel like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough, and I'm an able-bodied person. So to see somebody like that just doing anything they can to try and help, I don't know. It really got me. I know it's fiction, but that's what fiction's supposed to do. I mean, it's supposed to touch
Yep.
you like that.
No, it got me too, because like my granddad is going through Lewy body dementia.
Mm.
And so he's really struggling with that, and kind of seeing Marta on screen, like her actions kind of parallel what's happening with my granddad right now. So it did get me like a little like choked up. It's choking me up right now too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really touching moment, and clearly Marta's made a huge impression on Cassian's friends, and clearly the community, because she was part of Daughters of Ferrix, which I'm assuming is like a community movement, very
I just
similar with
picture
Lions
like
or
a
something.
bunch of women walking around kicking ass, like, and it sounds awesome. They said that
Yeah.
she was like
Picking
a
up their
president or
strollers the
something.
next minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But then what happens next is Bix goes and tries to contact Luthen so he can help them find Cassian so that Cassian can come be with Marta, pull her off the planet, something to kind of get her help. Um and then that's the scene where we see with Luthen and Clea, where Clea basically goes, "You've got to cut this off right
Mm.
now."
Can I just say, jumping ahead slightly, but we're very quickly proven that Clea was correct, and like very
Yeah.
quickly proven.
Yes, because the very next morning, the I guess junkyard is where the tower is overwhelmed by Imperial investigators.
And the
And
first
Biggs,
stormtroopers we see.
Yeah,
yeah,
Mm,
because
mhm.
yeah, because we've seen like shore troopers, um, and then the
The
no, we didn't see
pilots.
troopers at Aldani. Yeah, we saw
Mm-mm.
pilots. That was it.
yeah.
Yep.
And then we saw the clone troopers on Ferrix.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is first stormtroopers. Very good point, Chris. And so in this scene, Bix is spotted out of the crowd and is chased down and brought to the hotel where the ISB has kind of brought everyone together. And she sees Dedra has a great moment where she has Pax in there because she presumably they're done interrogating him now, and her male compatriot in there is like, "I need to take him out, right?" And she's like, "No, I want him to see it. I want her to see him." And then Bix comes in, and Deidre looks at him and is like, "What are you doing? Get him out of here!"
So
It's
good.
like
Mhm.
it was perfect. Like you hate the lover, but you love her so much.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's the best kind of villain in that way. That you're like, why do I like her?
Yeah,
Hmm.
she's doing a great
And I just
job.
saw,
Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead,
just
Ryan.
the actress in Under the Banner of Heaven on Hulu,
Mm.
and her performance there was just like kind of dealing with religious persecution, Mormon community, and all this stuff. It was very fascinating, and she like tries to gets her way out, and now to see her like in this role where she's like getting her way further into this like community and this oppressive community is just very interesting, and
Yeah.
she's fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know. Zach, have you read any Legends books?
A few, but very, very few. I read
Is it any
Kenobi, I read Darth Plagueis, and I started the Heir to the Empire trilogy, but I never finished it.
you need to finish that because that is a great trilogy.
I didn't dislike it.
Buy
I
the
just
box
didn't
set.
have the
Look at it.
second book at the
Yes.
time, and then when I got it, I was reading other things, and it just piled up.
So Ryan and Chris, I know y'all have. Does she remind you of Dala at all, or is that just me?
I can see it a little bit.
I will
I-
say I feel like it's been a while since I've like read a book with Dala, so in a way, yes, I can definitely, she definitely has that like she's kind of works with whatever
Strong,
system she
independent woman.
has to, yep, strong independent woman. She's doing whatever she can to be on top, and she'll take whatever risk she does and step over other people, and yeah.
I think, Ryan, if you haven't read her books in a while, this thing called The Legendary Adventures is going to find her again soon. Um, but yeah,
I'm very excited.
Oh,
I think about this. I think about the thought, like, I can't remember if it was last episode, kind of the last 2 episodes really, when she's like using the Space Patriot Act to kind of
Yep.
circumvent the rules. Like that
That's
very
such a
much
good
feels
name.
like.
Such a
Well,
good name.
I mean, it's kind of what I mean.
That's
If there's
exactly what
anything,
it is.
if there's
Yeah.
anything that Andor does, is it's not going to hide anything that it's doing in terms of the allegory. I mean, it might
Yep.
as well be named like we had Newt Gunray. We might as well have one named like Newt Trump or something at this rate. But yeah, I love that circumvention of the rules to kind of get up, and I love how it's not just like the show's not like girl boss, but it's like actually like no, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Like she's actually
Yeah.
going to use the tools available to her. So
And it's putting her up against some of the challenges that women in leadership and women in engineering, not just engineering, but like STEM based projects face with like men who are like, well, yeah, you're a little out of your league kind
mhm.
of thing. And so I can really appreciate that. So
Yeah, wasn't like you, Lauren, kind of just like, like barely
Yeah.
listening to her?
Which
yeah.
kind of surprised me because, like, I don't know. I feel like I romanticize Yularen too much because when I watched Clone Wars, I think for like the first 5 seasons, I never realized he was the guy from New Hope. Like, I just
Mm.
never
Me
put it
neither.
together. So I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
Yularen's a good guy. I like Yularen. He's a nice guy. So like, I still see him and I'm like expecting him to be that guy, and I have to accept that he is not. Like, he's a willing participant in the Imperial cog, and
Mhm.
I have to get over that. That's a me problem though.
I wonder how much of like Anakin he sees in Dedra though, where
Oh yeah.
he's like, oh my god,
Fair.
we got another one of these that's gonna circumvent every single rule.
That's why his hair goes white so quickly.
No kidding. No kidding. I love how like season 7 of Clone Wars like tries to gray it up more, and
Yeah.
then
Yep.
like tomorrow he's like, I'm gray. I'm old.
Yeah. I mean, he's still technically dealing with Anakin on a regular basis, so
That's true. And he never gets a
Yep.
promotion. Someone tweeted that his rank badge is the same from Clone Wars all the way to A New Hope. So of course this guy's like, well, I don't get promoted. I see like all these other people coming in
Yeah.
getting better badges. They get a second row for crying out loud.
I mean, he talks to Palpatine on a regular basis. I wonder how much further up he could really go.
That's true. That's true.
Yep. So let's tackle what happens to Cyril Karn and Deidre kind of at the beginning. Cyril is pulled into the ISB. Apparently, he has been making several inquiries about Cassian, claiming that he's all related to fuel and energy. And the ISB caught him, but is asking about the report filed on Ferrix.
Yeah. This was really the first part where I really kind of got a sense of the time that has passed. Because they mentioned that like he's been making reports over several weeks. And I was like, I guess I didn't realize that it had been that long. I was thinking maybe like a couple weeks since the start of the show, but like I don't know. I mean, I guess just time's passed between like missions, so to say.
I also wonder if maybe they were trying to catch everyone else up to the 30 days that passes, skipping ahead a little bit for Cassian.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
That's a good point.
So doing that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a little bit of an Empire situation where, we're watching them all at the same time, but it's not quite
Mhm.
chronological.
That's fair.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I love a Star Wars that says this is the planet you're on. This is when it takes place. This is 30 days later.
5 BBY.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Most people are like, what? And the rest of us are like, oh my god, a day.
Yeah. I actually had 2 friends text me asking me what BBY was.
Yeah, I feel like
So I was like, well, here, let me break it down for you. Here's the whole Imperial calendar.
I
Yeah.
only use the Force Awakens visual dictionary, which is related to the Battle of Ilum. So this is technically BBI. So I wish they would have done that one.
Oh, that would have been funny.
Everyone's like, what?
Cyril
No,
and
that-
Deidre have the weirdest energy.
Yes.
Like, I can't
Yeah.
tell if it's attraction or if there's like fear from Cyril, or I mean, it may be both. I mean, maybe that's what he's into.
They're
I
not
don't-
mutually
Mhm.
exclusive.
They are not. They
No,
are not.
No.
no. I don't know. Like, I have a hard time tracking like what their relationship is going to be like going forward, because clearly they're going to be working together. Like, That's
Yeah.
obvious. So I'm just wondering, like, are they gonna get along? Are they gonna hate each other? I cannot peg that down at all.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've already seen several horny on main tweets for Cyril
I retweeted one of them
Deidre
earlier.
fanfiction. Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
she was subtweeting you, just didn't say it.
I thought it was hilarious. It cracked my shit up. So
I just
All
love
right,
this
so
they're competent villains, but not super like
we
Rebels
don't get that
was
a lot in
full
Star
of,
Wars.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
Rebels
Yeah.
was full of like these boneheads who like
hmm
tripped their way into their position, but they're competent, but they're not unbeatable. It's not like
Yeah.
Thrawn, but it's also not like Constantine from Rebels. So I love this like middle.
And I like that it's still showing you, and exactly, it's in middle. It's showing you enough that like this is why they have a big head, but this is also like opening up the gaps that the Rebel Alliance is going to be using to take them down later on.
Exactly.
So
Mhm.
it's a really good midway point between like the height of their power and where they're going to end up.
yeah.
Exactly.
So we get to see Senta and Vel. They are on ferrets,
I was
and
glad that they were together right away. Like I figured
yes,
they were going to
Yeah.
be split up for a minute, which I mean,
I
Well,
love the fact that we
Yeah.
got the love word.
Anyways.
yes, I
Mhm.
just make them kiss already, please. Like just let them. Like
Yeah.
I feel like we're beating around the bush. So they're beating around the bush the way Rings of Power beat the bush around the word ring. I don't know if you guys watch Rings of Power. The whole last episode, they're like a circular object,
what?
like a crown, but maybe
Yeah, that's
smaller.
right.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I say ring, just please say ring. And like that's how I feel about this. I want just like it's out there. We know what it is. Just acknowledge it. That's all we need.
Mhm.
Yep,
Mhm.
I
That's
agree.
funny.
But they end up splitting up. Senta makes it very clear, and Clea kind of hinted at this in the last episode, that Senta is always going to strive first for the rebellion, and that she laid those lines down for Vel before beginning their relationship, because Vel's like, okay, maybe we need to just take a breather. Like, let's go chill somewhere, like rekindle our love and affection for each other. That's why they don't kiss, you know? They need like a honeymoon. I don't know. That was a joke. Clearly. Um, um so Senta is like, no, I'm gonna stay here, watch for Cassian. This is our only lead. You go on to the next mission. So
Cinta
that's
had a
what
really good
happens.
line as well. I can't remember. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but she said something like, "The job comes first. We just get what's left."
Mm.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
That's such a good line.
Mhm.
And then
What a
we get the
relationship.
shot.
But
Like she's very honest. Like she doesn't
yeah.
like she's not pretending anything. She's like, "This is what it is."
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for Vel too, because especially in this like time frame and
Mhm.
and what they're doing, it's like one of them could die at any moment, as they
Yeah.
Yeah.
saw on like the mission they were just on. So might as well just get that out there.
Yeah, it's hard to remember they're the last of that crew.
Yeah,
But
you're very
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
I love the way that this show, like, so when Cinta says to Vel, she's like, or when Vel's like, "What's your story?" and Cinta's like, "I could be a rich girl who ran away from her parents," and like, I love that, like, because there's a line, and I know Twitter debated it with Skeen's line, "I don't have a brother." I love
Yeah.
the way that this line leaves
Mhm.
it so ambiguous, where like. My thought is Skeen had a brother. He's dead now, so he's like, I don't have a
Same.
brother.
That's
But
exactly
like,
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
is Cinta making a dig at Val to say, like, this is why you're not as committed as me? Or is she just talking? I love this, like, ambiguity. There's no, like, she doesn't pull up the
Mhm.
Wikipedia page on Val to figure.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it.
Because, like, I feel like some people, like, do that. Like, there's some shows where the dialogue
Mhm.
is like, my story is that I'm a Jedi from Stu John. And Obi-Wan's like, that's me.
Oh.
But,
And I love the shot that we get with Vel on the speeder
mm,
plane thing back, and Senta kind of looking from her balcony.
I
It
had
was
a
a great
question
shot.
about that. Was that the same one that Luthen rode in that one episode when he
Yeah.
like had the
Yeah.
conversation? Okay, I thought it was, but I just watched the episode earlier and I was like, I can't tell if that's the same one or not. So that's pretty neat.
but it's got, like, big Revenge of the Sith vibes. when they're like looking out the windows to each other and
Yeah. I wish Across the Stars just started playing.
Um, what did y'all think of Luthen going to visit Saw? And then we'll touch on this and then go to Cassian.
That
so
was a good scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Like-
was, and Luthen brings up a lot of good points because he offers Saw like Imperial shields that he is selling for the price of he has to go work with somebody else.
mhm.
He's trying
So-
so hard.
Yes.
He's definitely playing matchmaker right now, and their relationship is very contentious. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Saul has this moment where he's talking to Luthen, and he goes for like the look on his face goes from "I want to beat this dude's ass" to "This dude's one of my oldest friends" in
Yeah.
like a split second. And it's
Yep.
just such good acting by Forrest Whitaker. And like, I don't know if they like did some slight digital retouching, or if it's makeup, or if Forrest Whitaker just looks that good. But he honestly looks younger than he did in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like he
Yes.
legitimately
Yeah.
does. So I don't know what they did to do that, but they did a very good job, and it doesn't look like I can't tell what it is that's doing it. So obviously, whatever it
Mhm.
is working.
And
Yeah.
like I love Forrest Whitaker. They're like, "Hey, we have this. Yeah, I'm in." It's like, okay, well, you don't even. I'm in. I'm here.
Yeah,
But like he
cool.
brings it to anything, and like it's so funny. Like Fallen Order, Andor, you're gonna get the same thing out of him.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
Mhm.
I will be that guy for a minute. I liked because like this is the same year in Rebel Rising where he ditches Jin. And
Yeah.
so like I love this thought, like I love the way that it's written where he's like, I'm not gonna work with anyone, even though we know he kinda has.
hmm
Because in Rebel Rising
Hmm.
he takes like 3 or 4 jobs. But I like this thought that, he's just been betrayed by one of the guys and had to leave Jin behind. He's like, no, I'm not working with anyone ever again. I just lost so
Mhm.
much because of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I drew those lines too. So yeah,
I-
it was a really good way to stick to canon that's already happened in a
Yeah.
book.
I don't know what you're
Uh.
talking about. That's not relevant to this evening.
W-
Never.
One of my friends was talking about how they wish that Luthen would just know about Jin so that way they would understand Saw's perspective. And I was like, well, yeah, but then Luthen would try to use Jin to like psychologically manipulate Saw into whatever he needed him to do. So I don't think that would work out anyway.
Yeah. But I love this,
All right,
like
so
it was so good seeing like him hitting it, like his like I love the way he's like, we gotta speed up what the Empire's doing. Oppression breeds rebellion. And it's just like, damn.
It made me think of the metaphor of the toad in the boiling water where it just slowly sits, and like I feel like Luthen sees that. He sees that, the general galaxy is that toad sitting in the boiling water, and he's like, we need to make it a lot hotter right away so that toad jumps out.
Yeah.
Like, and it's such a hard thing to agree with, but I understand completely where he's coming from.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
yep, 100%. All right, so Ryan, you've been quiet, so I'm gonna throw it to you to tell us what happened to Cassian and like give us your thoughts on kind of his days in prison.
Sure. I think one thing I really loved about what they did with him in the prison this episode is like the camera really starts in the beginning of the episode like right on his face. We're always like right by him. We're always like with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then as he's there, we hit like the 30 extra shifts mark and starts like pulling back and we're like further away from him. And you can kind of see like he's looking a little more docile. And there's that like closing shot where they just pull the camera all the way away and he's just
Yep.
one of the prison crew.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's working. It's working on him right now.
I hadn't really thought about that, like about it pulling away like that, but that's such a great point. Because like I feel like those establishing shots really speak to what we were talking about earlier of it making you empathize with Cassian, and it's because you're seeing his face, like you're literally seeing,
Yep.
like it's just draining him, and he looks so rough, and even just after the first time jump, he looked so rough, and yeah, that's a very good point. I hadn't even thought about that, but I'm glad you brought that up.
And even just him eating the food without like complaining.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yep.
that's such a nice subtle way of just saying he's here.
Yeah, he knows. He's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
All
get
right, I
flavor
gotta get this out
sometimes.
of the way. Gotta get this out of the way. Did anybody else like have to pause the TV and go, circus? What? Circus?
Yeah.
I heard the voice and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Andy Serkis, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's Andy Serkis. Cool.
Oh, I literally, because I told you this, Zach, but I was like, I heard his voice and was like, circus? And then he came on screen and I had to pause and go, what is Andy Serkis doing here? Like,
Well, I'm pretty sure there was a news story about it that he was going to be in this a while back, and because I vaguely remember people being like, "Oh, we're getting a Snoke origin story in Andor," but
Oh,
like
that's
I
right.
just like buried it away and completely forgot about it. And when he popped up, I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I remember that now."
Ugh.
well, I did not remember that at all, but now that you say that, I completely
Yeah.
remember that. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to go find that now because that's gonna drive me insane. Um,
But man, I love like this weird circus that comes from like the Batman, where he plays like the weirdest take on Alfred. And now, I'm like, I'm not used to seeing his face. I'm used to him being a weird little man, not like
Yeah.
a human.
Like he needs a mocap suit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a great thing about him, though, is like he could be 13 other characters in the next 5
Mhm.
years because
Yeah.
he has that flexibility in the mocap
Oh, yeah.
suit.
They should
Yeah.
just put him in a character that's in a mocap suit and not say anything. It's just Star
That-
Wars. That's the suit. That's it.
That light creature from Jabba's palace that was cut. That guy who's wearing all the light bulbs.
Oh yeah,
Like,
just
that could
make
be Andy.
Andy Serkis play one of those characters. That's what I need.
Someone called Pablo.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it
write
just
this down.
and that just kind of shows you like that the Last Jedi's production pretty much went well, as well as Force Awakens, to give Circus the idea of, okay, this was a good experience. Sure, I'll come back.
Yeah,
Like,
hmm
he definitely seemed
Oh.
like he had fun when I watched like the behind the scenes stuff for Force Awakens and for Last Jedi. He really
Mhm.
seemed to be into it, so I'm glad to see that is pretty confirmed now.
Yeah.
yeah.
And in a role that's probably going to get at least 2 more episodes.
Right?
That's really nice.
At least
Yeah.
2, if not, because we do get Melshi, who is a member in Rogue One. And so you could think, okay, they're gonna pull everybody from here. We could see Kino Joy, is that his name?
Mm.
We could see Circus return for season 2 as well.
Mhm.
So
I was very pleasantly surprised about Melshi because I recognized him, and I didn't. I wouldn't think I would recognize Melshi because I don't watch Rogue One a whole lot. Like I recognize a lot of the characters, but he's not one I would think I would. But I
Mhm.
did. It's usually the alien characters that I recognize. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. But like I saw him and I was like, oh hey, that's the guy from Rogue One. Okay, that's cool. And then I like that they used him to kind of be that voice of like, it's never gonna get better. Like
Mhm.
hmm
they're slowly killing us. Like why is everybody ignoring this? And because you can see like that guy's gonna be a part of the rebellion. It's very clear.
And then
So
he's the one that takes Jin from the turbo tank. It's
yeah,
like,
Yep.
oh my god.
hmm
yeah.
uh, to be fair, I did not recognize him. I saw that when I was writing my review this morning. So did not put it together.
It was
I
there.
remembered the name specifically. I think I saw it on like action figures or something, and then
Yeah.
I remember like I had the subtitles turned on, so when they said his name, it popped up, and I was like, that guy. I was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
That's how you know Star Wars characters. The toy came out
Yeah,
and you bought it
exactly.
and you're like, oh yeah, I know that toy.
Yeah,
That guy.
that was on a label somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Bo Williman's script does a great job articulating a labor camp, specifically prison, obviously. There's some pretty horrendous stuff that happens. A guy actually commits suicide because he's just like, I can't take it anymore.
That was dark.
It was.
Yeah.
Like not just not just the suicide itself, which was dark enough. The commentary from the fellow prisoners afterward.
Yeah, like the guys,
Like-
we're gonna
Mhm.
smell them all night.
We're gonna smell him all night, or the guy that's like, he did it in here. I have no sympathy for him. Like
Yeah.
it's just so, and it hurts me because it's so real. Because there are those people, and I don't know. Star Wars has done a very good job with Andor of holding the mirror up to us with like a sci-fi lens. And this was just another example of that.
Yeah.
That torture technique. Just to speak on the torture technique, when they first showed them taking their shoes off and the guys walked in wearing the boots, I thought they were gonna suck people out through an airlock, and those were like gravity boots that were gonna hold them down.
Yeah, I thought it was like they were increasing the gravity or something.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, that
So-
makes sense too.
That was about the only thing that I was kind of like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to the show not operating like a Star Wars show that I was like,
Yeah.
oh, a Star
Agreed.
Wars thing.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, that's cool.
Or maybe they're just wearing funny shoes. Who knows? You know?
Yeah,
That's true.
that's just the style on that planet. We're all making way too much out of it.
The new Black Series figure when you can sell them with, because like when I tore my Achilles tendon, I wore those same boots to keep my foot instead of a cast. So
Now that I think about it, though, my question is, why do they need special boots if they had to take their shoes off for it to affect them?
Probably because it's minimal insulation, so like it
Oh,
wouldn't have
gotcha.
affected the prisoners as hard if they were wearing shoes.
But it might
But the
still
guards
affect them a
are
little.
fully insulated
yeah,
with those
they're not
special
going to take
boots.
That
any
makes sense.
risks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're playing it safe.
Yeah.
All right, do we have anything else with Andor?
Did anyone else look at Cassian's prison sentence and think 2189? Oh, so close to the number.
I think that was the point.
Okay, because I was
It,
like,
it felt very intentional to me.
I'm one of those people now. I'm reading all the
I am too.
numbers and
Like I didn't even really know much about it before like the Andor promotional stuff, but then when people were like making all the comparisons, I started reading up on it.
Well, the nice thing was like this was the first episode where I stopped scanning Luthens' background, and I'm glad that they're kind of keeping it kind of static. Because
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
definitely was getting distracted.
They know people are gonna they want
Yeah.
people to pay attention to what they're saying, and we're all
Yeah.
like, what's he got back
Yeah.
there?
Oh, what's that? What's that?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. What would we rate this episode, I guess, for what we've had so far? It's out of 5 on a 4th scale, so you can do like 5 or 4.25 or
I was
whatever.
gonna say I've been doing 4 point something the whole time.
I'd probably go like 4.8, 4.85, somewhere around there.
I would agree with that. This is probably my favorite episode of the series. I acknowledge that a lot of that is because of things that have happened in earlier episodes. A lot of the things I liked about this episode were plot points that were things set up in previous episodes coming to a head, or at least moving forward, if not coming to a head. And so I think that played a big factor in it. But that being said, yeah, I think 4.8 sounds very right on the money for me.
All right, here's where I'm going to be our contrarian. I thought it was a great episode. My favorite parts were like the Mothma parts, which has had the whole season to build.
Yeah.
And the parts that I was least engaged with, but still super engaged, was Cassian because it's the start of an arc. So I don't want to say it was a bad one, but it definitely felt. I feel the give and take of starting an arc while there's an ongoing story.
That's fair.
So
Yeah.
I thought last episode is going to be a highlight. The announcement's going to be a highlight of Star Wars TV for an extremely long time, unless something comes up in Skeleton Crew and just blows it out of the water. But so I'm still putting it in the 4s. But if it sticks to the landing, this is just going to get elevated again. But maybe I'll be at the 4.25 today. And that's not. I mean, that's still fantastic.
That's nothing to turn your nose up
Yeah.
at.
But it's just a start. All I'm saying is it's the start of an arc.
And to
Yeah.
speak on the arcs, I think they've done a really good job of like it's very clear that there are arcs, but they've flowed really well into each other. I think they've done really good with
Yeah.
that.
Well, and this may not be true, but I think of it as like Cassian has the arcs, everyone else has the season.
That's a good way of
Yeah.
looking at it.
So,
It's a good way to keep everything connected while still allowing you to space everything out because the writers have been maintained over the arcs.
mhm.
So like Bo Williman will have he had this episode and then he'll have the next 2. And
Mhm.
I think when Cassian landed on Aldani to the end of the heist where he took off, that all had the same writer. So it allows for some consistency in how the story's being
Mhm.
told.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's what helps with this one. I really kind of connected to what was going on and the visuals. I mean, the visuals have been so impressive all season, but they really got me this episode.
Yep.
it felt like Ferrex was like a lot more impressive than it had been in like the earlier episodes too. Like they had that long shot and you just kind of got to see the whole like street and the tower in the distance. I don't know. It was just like it struck me a little bit more than it did in the earlier episodes.
Well, we're not used to
I think
depth in the background of Star Wars
Yeah.
TV. We're used to
facts.
flat.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's very true.
Katie, have you given
Oh,
yours
hey.
yet?
No, she hasn't. I was about to ask her that.
I'm sorry, we gotta block this commenter real fast.
Oh.
18sex.xyz was blocked.
Oh boy.
So I think I'm at the 4.5 range, just because of how much I connected kind of with the story that was being told. Just really impressive all around.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
all right. So I am time stamping this, and we're gonna go for an hour 30. And we are
So we'll
going
just do
to jump.
afterthoughts for the next half hour, right?
We did
So
forget to mention a very important thing about Andor, which was that there was a guy named Ham.
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's
Sorry.
very like Charles Soule writing here, where the name is like it's a normal name with a stupid letter.
Yeah.
Like there's Sol.
Well, I really feel like there was somebody in the writers' room. They're like, "We're gonna name this guy Han," and they're like, "You cannot name a Star Wars character Han." He's like, "Okay, I'll change a letter."
Yeah. All right, change it a little. Ham.
Ham.
Hum. Hum double.
All right, I gotta change my timestamp.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to be consistent.
Yeah, no, that's
Y'all
fair.
are fine. Y'all are fine. Okay, so for Tales of the Jedi, just to kind of reiterate, for those who are listening, we're going to do non-spoiler thoughts, and then we'll do each, because this was split into 3 episodes for Ahsoka and 3 episodes for Count Dooku. So we're gonna split, and kind of do Ahsoka and then Dooku. And we're not going to step through plot by plot. We're just kind of do a general review and some thoughts, some critiques. I know I have critiques. I will try not to linger too much on 2 of them. But
The other ones are fair game.
Yeah.
Yes, totally fair game.
Yeah.
But that way, because we're already at an hour, and I don't want to keep y'all for too long, but I also like to keep things under 2 hours, and I don't know how this is gonna go. So, obviously, thanks for being here. If you're still here, if you've just
Except for your
returned,
sex
welcome back.
bot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, except for the sex bot.
Yes. Okay. So Ryan, I'm gonna pitch it to you to start us off with
Ooh.
non-spoilers. You're quiet.
Oh,
I
boy.
gotta get you involved.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think of the best way to talk about these. I do really like overall the like tone poem that they're going for, and the idea of like there's a lot of like minimal dialogue in some of them, and it is kind of
Yes.
more of just like the events that are happening, and like the reactions, even in the animation, like the facial reactions. It was kind of a fun way to do animation instead of just the very like what we're used to, where it's like the kitty dialogue and we already like you can tell what a character is going to say before they're going to say it. Where here it was just like I'm not sure. Sometimes they're speaking a different language. We just kind of get the context of how they're like praying on a crystal or stuff like that, and I really liked that aspect of the show at the very least.
I am a big fan of the show don't tell aspect of it as well. I think that was really good.
Zach, you got any other non-spoiler thoughts?
So I have mixed feelings. I really liked the. Are we lingering on the Ahsoka episodes, or are we kind of covering all of them right now?
All of them. So you
Okay.
can like address non-spoiler thoughts for
Dooku as well.
both.
Okay, so I really liked the Dooku ones. I felt I had mixed feelings about the Ahsoka ones. But something I didn't have mixed feelings about all around was the animation. I felt like the animation was beautiful.
Yeah.
I found there were times where I would literally pause it just to kind of like stare at it and just for a few seconds because I thought it
Mhm.
looked good. Like there was a shot of Ahsoka's mother walking into the forest at one point, and I was like, this would be my wallpaper on my computer if I got a good screenshot of it. And so yeah, I feel like Star Wars animation has never been better in terms of visuals, and I think it's only going to get better. And I'm very excited to see where we go. But yeah, like I said, I had some mixed feelings. Overall, though, I very much enjoyed it, and I know I'm gonna be rewatching all of these probably tonight, if I'm being honest. So I'm gonna give them a few more views and see how I really feel about them.
I kind of agree. I'd love to watch the episode now, knowing what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, I know it's gonna override this. I can't think about this. Do I like it on its own? But yeah, even compared to Bad Batch, this already looks so much more
Looks so
advanced
much better.
already.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought Bad Batch looked incredible. So
The
Yeah.
Bad Batch water, I can't tell the difference between like
Yeah.
it and just normal water.
I couldn't help but like in the sixth one with the fire. I was like,
Yeah.
"There's no way this would have been
Yeah, it's just
anywhere in
fire.
Clone Wars."
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Like Clone Wars had like video game fire that kind of looks like paper that's moving.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
I like what you said about how like with the characters themselves. Sorry, I kind of blanked on there. I had a thought for a second. I really blanked out. But no, like the artistry for this has been a high point for me, and I'm
Mhm.
really hoping we get to go forward with
Yeah.
more animation because I don't feel like we're getting a lot in terms of animation right now. And
Mhm.
I'm all for like give me 12 animation shows at one time, and I will watch all of them. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
Well, that's the nice thing about this new like line is anything can be a Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
let's call Daisy Ridley. Let's get Ray in here. I don't. Let's
I
go.
saw
Mhm.
people pitching earlier. They said if we're going to be overriding certain elements of the books, why don't we do the Dark Disciple story arc and overwrite Ventus's death? Like,
Yes.
just saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Quinlan Voss is a Jedi, so that could be a tale of Quinlan Voss. And then I'm just saying. Well, she was a Padawan,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
Yep.
There's
He
plenty
was
you
a
can
Jedi.
do.
Ventress counts. That's good enough for me. She counts.
I would love that, but
Same.
yeah, the Dooku ones were so good, and I love thinking about it because it's like they're 8 minutes shorter than any Clone Wars episode,
Mhm.
but they felt
Mhm.
fuller than almost any of them. There's a few like standouts of Clone Wars, but these felt like full, like character weight, character emotion,
I think
dialogue, story.
I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that they were focused on the characters themselves, whereas Clone Wars tries to do the ensemble cast. Like
Yeah.
you've
Mhm.
got an Obi-Wan plot, you've got an Anakin plot, you've got an Ahsoka plot. Whereas it's like this is Dooku for 3 episodes. This is
Mhm.
Ahsoka for
Yeah.
3 episodes. And I'm okay. So Jedi Lost is one of my favorite books, and
Sorry.
I was. Thank you, appreciate it. But I don't know. I think the main reason for that is because I went into it hating Dooku. Like I
Mm.
just didn't like I love
Mm,
Christopher
mhm.
Lee, but I just didn't like Dooku as a character. Like not like I hate this character, like I feel nothing for this character. There is nothing about him that really like got me. So getting to know him as a character really like brought me in. And I'm a big fan of just fantasy in general. So you know, the evil royal getting like basically a dark side dragon at the end of that story. I really liked
Oh,
those aspects of it. And so this felt like a continuation of that in a way that I was not expecting because I was fully expecting this to just override it completely. And it really felt like it could slot in more so than I was
yes.
expecting
Yeah.
it to.
And I think that's the beauty of what Kevin did when he wrote Jedi Lost, and I think that's lost on a lot of people that it's not the story about Dooku becoming a Sith. It's just about him leaving the Order.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
when Tales of the Jedi is like this is how he becomes a Sith, it doesn't need to override. And I think when they were writing Padawan, they told Kirsten like, "Hey, you got to make sure we know that Dooku pops in to visit, and you'll see why in a couple months."
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that
Yeah.
more. Because I have thoughts. Clearly, if you haven't seen my Twitter feed today,
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit earlier.
yeah, we did. But for me, no, on their own, because I was able to watch them twice, and on their own, looking at them, doing my best to look at them without the book knowledge and everything. I really do love the way the stories are told. There are a few qualms with some of the themes I have with Dooku storytelling, but those are a lot better voiced by people who know a lot better with than me. I know Dylan is a great voice, and some other people that I can't think of their Twitter profiles right now for the life of me. But again, to reiterate, the Kiners did a fantastic job with the music. It really helps progress all of the stories along and gives you that tension in like the last Ahsoka episode in particular. So with those there's good things for me, just because both kind of do this. I do hate the convolutedness of the books, um because, and we'll touch on those and spoilers, but I just think I want those stories to be respected because I love them so much, and I don't I don't know if they were necessarily in this case. um I and I want to take especially the last Ahsoka episode, and the next person who tells me that Filoni is the god of Star Wars storytelling and is the master of all things Star Wars canon. I will take that episode and the Ahsoka book and go, what is your canon then? Because
Explain.
these do not compute, because he worked on
Yes.
both and
Yeah.
still overwrote them. And I will try to keep
I
that
don't-
as my opinion.
I feel
on
like
that.
personally, I don't know how much he actually worked on the book. I feel like he threw E.K. Johnston some notes of his and was like, "All right, have fun."
Well, Ryan,
He
Yeah,
had
there
to
was
approve the final copy of the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, at the time, then they didn't even know they were getting Clone Wars season 7. So like he
Yeah.
may have been like, "This is good enough for what I wanted to do," and then he thought he had his own vision. And you know, it's never going to work out when there's two visions of the same story coming out.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
I,
work out, in my
s-
opinion.
I saw in his interview with Nerdist like this evening, and he does touch on the Ahsoka novel like for one sentence. Doesn't even talk about it at all, really. They don't ask him about it, but he did mention like that was the outline I sent to them for that novel. That's like the outline, and then this is basically the same story, but obviously he reworked it a little tad. Just a small bit.
and I'm gonna make one mean comment, and that's the only time I'm gonna be overly negative. It's okay, so you said he sent the outline to Kate, she makes this great book, and then he's like, I'm doing this in an animation now, and doesn't turn the outline into a story. It still felt like the outline to me. Like it still
It-
didn't feel very
Mhm.
fleshed out enough. It felt like I was like,
No.
if you're gonna overwrite canon, at least make it more interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
and my problem with that was I felt like I kind of had a tweet about this earlier that I'll bring back up when we get into spoilers. But the things that were changed were the things that I felt like needed to stay the same, and the things that stayed the same were the things I felt like could have been changed.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that's probably a good
100%.
transition point, right? I think we're all like champing at the bit.
I know.
Let's go! Come
Okay.
on.
So let's get into Ahsoka. And I'm gonna timestamp. 113.
I'm not gonna say anything else until you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, so first episode, and I'm just gonna briefly summarize. I'm not gonna go into major details. But first episode, we get Ahsoka as a baby, and this episode kind of touches on how the Force can, how Force sensitives can communicate with animals, and how
Mhm.
that benefits them. Ahsoka's second episode kind of follows her and Anakin's story and how he moves to protect her in all instances that he possibly can. And I'm just gonna say it right now, that was my favorite episode.
Of the Ahsoka ones, mine too.
Yep. And then the third episode is, we've kind of talked about it already, but it kind of touches on how Ahsoka decides to come back to fighting the good fight, and is what is covered in the Ahsoka novel. So, Who wants to go first?
I thought the first episode was really cute. That was
Mhm.
the general vibe I got. Was like it was just kind of heartwarming. I mean, obviously, I thought it was a little interesting that Star Wars. I mean, we knew it wasn't going to happen, but it almost showed a baby getting eaten. Um, that felt kind of interesting. But I mean, it was cute. Like that's just the general vibe I got from it. I thought it was adorable when Ahsoka's dad was like running around telling everybody like it's a girl, it's a girl. I was like that's pretty cute. So like I don't know, that was just the general vibe I got through the whole episode. I didn't feel like it was anything super consequential as far as storytelling goes. Like I mean we probably could have guessed that general storyline. Somebody said, tell me how you think Ahsoka's parents found out that she was force sensitive. I'd be like, I don't know, she almost got eaten by a tiger or something and didn't. Like it's not anything crazy, but like seeing it play out was still really nice. I had good feelings watching it.
Yep.
Yeah, I almost kind of wish like the rest of the episode had been more like that, where it was just kind of the emotions could have got from the smallest of little like moments, these like little things that typically aren't these like galaxy changing moments, and just an important part of their story.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my favorites for her run.
And there's a Simpsons episode recently where, like, the whole joke where they're talking about all the new baby characters Disney was making of all their franchises. And I was like, of course, you got Baby Ahsoka.
Yep.
I own every Baby Yoda Funko Pop, so I'm not really, like, that's too striking against me. But, yeah, I did love that they took it in a different direction than Grogu and the Mudhorn, at least.
Yep.
But also, like, I read into this a lot because, like, one of the things that we know Anakin struggles with is the animal connectivity, and it was like the whole Ezra's big storyline in season 1 of Rebels was connecting to animals or not, and so I thought like it's a really cool way to kind of keep it within thematically, like how she contrasts Anakin, how she is a good fit for Ezra. I thought that was a cool
Agreed.
little maybe unintended bit, but. And
Yeah.
can we just say the second episode has the best Ahsoka outfit? And I really wish she would have worn that in the actual Clone Wars
Yeah.
compared to the Supergirl that she had.
Probably the best retcon Star Wars has ever made.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
I will say the last half of Clone Wars episode, not season 7, but like the last half, that's my favorite outfit for
Okay,
her.
that's
But
a
I'm
good one,
so glad they didn't put her in the tube top.
Yeah,
So
same.
glad.
But I just love how they're like,
Uh,
this is her season 3 outfit closed up. She's
Yeah.
in it this
Yep.
time. And I was like, can we just special edition this one back? Like,
No, so I really loved this one, and this was one that I knew I was going to jump on from the trailer when we saw it, especially seeing her do the move that she does in the season
Yeah.
in season 7 when she's
Mhm.
actually fighting the clones. I cried in the trailer because I was like, oh, this is gonna hurt. This is really gonna hurt, and I don't know why I wasn't expecting it. But to get them in season 7 of the Clone Wars right before they go out to the big clones, I
Yeah.
said, "Holy fuck! Why was I not expecting this?" Like,
It hit
and then
so
like started
hard.
crying.
Yeah.
It was
It was a ton of
like,
bricks.
ton of bricks. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, indeed.
I'm a big Anakin fan. Anakin's my favorite character in Star Wars. I'm attracted to the bad boys that think they're doing good. I don't know, something about those stories always draw me in, and a lot of it, to be fair, was that I'm a big mama's boy, and so I watched Phantom Menace at a young age, and I grew attached to Anakin very quickly, and so getting to see him again in this aspect was very interesting because we've seen how Vader trained the Inquisitors in the Charles Soule comics, and I posted about this on Twitter earlier. It was very similar. With the first panel we see of Vader training an Inquisitor is him cutting off one of their hands and telling them to get back up.
Mhm.
And that's, I mean, he's always going to be nicer with Ahsoka, obviously, but it's the same training style, and I like that consistency. I mean, we've talked about the lack of consistency across mediums on this. It's nice to see that there is consistency across mediums.
Mhm.
And Anakin's characterization, like, it felt very Anakin. Like, it's an Ahsoka episode, but Ahsoka's story is very closely tied to Anakin's. So getting one of those episodes that did really feel like it was about Anakin as much as Ahsoka was really nice for me.
Mhm.
I
And I
have
get
to
even
wonder if, sorry, I have to wonder if maybe Soul, because he's now a consultant for Disney Plus Star Wars,
Mhm.
I hadn't even thought
if
about that.
maybe he saw that and was like, here's a good way to do this.
Mm.
We know Filoni had the ideas and was writing them during COVID, but it still might have been a good point of influence for him.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And this was the
Chris,
one
what?
time. This is the one time I've ever been able to forgive one of those wink wink lines when Anakin was like, "Oh, you'll be good against anything." Well, anything with a blaster. I was like, "Oh yeah, because you're gonna attack with a lightsaber." But like, I liked it in this context,
Yeah.
and I love the way that they awkwardly fumbled the bag trying to make it look like it's an early episode. Like Obi-Wan doesn't have the mullet when he has the armor. Brotherhood is very explicit about that.
I
I
was
think
thinking that.
part
I was like, I was telling Katie earlier. I was like, I don't know where this takes place in the timeline because Obi-Wan had his mullet was gone the first time they meet Ahsoka.
Well,
Like,
Brotherhood explicitly says Anakin sees him, he's cut his hair, and he's trying on the armor.
yeah,
And I was
no.
like, that's. But anyway, I'm not even. That's not even my biggest point right now. But I just love the way that they tried to say like they didn't put the year up, but they tried their best to tell us when this was.
yeah,
And I
Mhm.
love it because they're still catty with each other. I love when Anakin's like pissed at her because the test is bad.
yeah.
Like,
She's like, "What's your problem?" He's like, "Test sucks." And she's
and then
like,
she's like, "Then
"That's
why
not
are
my
you pissed
problem."
at me?"
Honestly, this episode at the beginning especially reminded me of the Legends Clone Wars novels
Mm,
because it opens after the end of Attack of the Clones and you get like Padme's worried about Anakin um and like trying to stay with him. But then the next scene you kind of get is Ahsoka's training with remotes, and Anakin's left her to do 6,000 repetitions by herself or whatever the number
mm,
was. So it very much felt like that.
yeah. And
All
also,
right. Oh,
again,
sorry.
I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. Kanan, and or sorry, Caleb and Deppa didn't know each other yet, but I liked seeing them. Like,
It
I
was
liked
nice
seeing
seeing
little
them.
Caleb.
It was really cute seeing little
And
Caleb
he's like
cheering
freaking
Ahsoka
out.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it reminds me of my nephew when he watches TV. Like
yeah.
it was
I thought that was
adorable.
so cute. I was like, okay, again, didn't happen, but it's cute. I like it.
Yeah, I will always pick cute side over canon. Like
Yeah,
it's
totally,
always gonna pull me in, and
totally.
I like seeing that, and I always got the vibe watching Rebels that Kanan and Ahsoka had met. Like it never explicitly stated it. They just always seemed like it never felt like a first meeting when we
Hmm.
first see them together. So it is nice seeing that like there was times that they came across each other in the Jedi Temple.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And not just by reputation, but like actually, like,
Like yeah, like face to face, like
yeah.
probably had a conversation. Maybe Ahsoka gave him some pointers on lightsaber deflection or something like that.
Mhm.
Like I'm picturing all kinds of cute scenarios.
Hmm.
All right. Third episode.
The space elephant in the room.
It's a very simple episode. It feels like a Clone Wars episode, I guess, where Ahsoka's undercover, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say it's my least favorite of the 6. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that is pretty obvious based off the way we've been talking, but I'll just be very open.
Yeah.
I didn't. So we were talking that's actually what I blanked on earlier was when you had brought up that you're trying to judge it on its own and not how it conflicts with canon, and that's how I tried to look at it because I mean, we'd seen the trailers. I knew going in what was to be expected. Like I said earlier with Dooku, I thought the Dooku episodes were going to be more so like that. So I kind of went into it with that mindset and tried to think that. And separating it, like if I had never read the Ahsoka book, I think I would have loved it, honestly. Like there were parts of it that I think it probably still would have been my least favorite of the 3 Ahsoka episodes, and maybe I mean least favorite of the 6 episodes, but I still think I would have enjoyed it if I had no knowledge of the Ahsoka book. If I was just going into this, it was a fresh story for me. Having the knowledge of the Ahsoka book, I just kept being like, well, that's different. That's different. This should be
Mhm.
that person.
Yep.
And I feel like that was too much for me to really enjoy it altogether.
For me, it's been so long since I read the Ahsoka book that I wasn't really able Like I knew the plot line of what was happening, but I didn't really remember too much of what happened. I will say, um, so the kind of main characters of this episode, other than Ahsoka, is they're just called Village Brother and Village Sister.
Okay, I
In the
wondered.
credits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the Ahsoka book, the two are black sisters. And Ahsoka has a relationship with one of them. And you didn't have to put any emphasis on a relationship with Ahsoka. But
It
you
still
could
could have
have,
been the
yeah, the plot could have been the exact same. One of the sisters just reports
Yeah.
it instead of her brother.
Yep.
There was absolutely no reason to change these characters.
This was my biggest complaint of the whole show, was that, like I said earlier, like this was something that did not need to be changed. It could have been the exact same plot, just had the two sisters. One of them didn't even, like, they could even have one of the sisters just there as like a, she's around, or not even
Yeah.
have the two sisters, just have one of the sisters and have the role the brother played just be another villager.
just
Like,
some guy.
yeah, some guy.
Tim too. The other Tim.
Yeah, exactly. Tim's clone
Yeah.
that got away.
It's Tim with
And
3 M's.
it just felt so weird that, like, that's the thing you would change, is like that representation is not something that people beat around the bush around anymore. So, like, it's not something we should pretend to ignore when somebody does something like this. And I'm not gonna sit here and say Dave Filoni's God, but I've liked his work in the past. I'm not gonna sit here singing his praises, but this disappointed me, and I'm not gonna be quiet about that. I think it's something that should have been left alone.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, since Bad Batch, and then some of the Dooku stuff. Now this is like, first time it's like, okay, it's not that bad. Second time, it's a choice, and the third time it's like it's a pattern. It's like he's just like, I have a better way of doing this, so I'm going to do it, not even caring about the consequences. I guess.
I
Especially
feel like
representation.
yes, I feel like he got too. I don't want to say too big for his britches. That feels like a bad term for it.
Just we
But I
don't
feel
know
like
him.
I've been saying it for years.
I
I've
feel
been
like
saying it
working
for
with George
years.
Lucas directly, and like people call him, he's George Lucas's protege, and I feel like that's kind of gone to his head a little bit, of like, Star Wars is great. I love when other people are involved with it, but if I have a vision that I think's better, that's the one we're going to go with.
Yep.
And the hard part is just how many times it affects people of color.
Correct. If it was
Yeah.
just, changing some plot elements here and there and it wasn't affecting representation at all, I probably wouldn't have strong feelings about it one way or the other.
It's like, okay,
But
the Bad Batch were in canon story. Who cares? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I like the comic, but who cares? But now it's like, the fact that they're not even named, I didn't even realize that. You
Yep.
replace
Yeah.
two, and it's not even that just Kaden appears only. I mean, she's in the 40th anniversary from a certain point of view,
Mhm.
and now
Mhm.
that story
Mhm.
doesn't mean as much because where is she? She never, that's what drives me nuts. Is you can change it, I don't care, I'll just ignore it. But this is just like, ooh, you can't ignore this,
just
especially.
that you took a character that gives representation and just made them go away. That's all it was. And yeah, I'm salty about it.
Well, and the thing is, you said that, like, if you hadn't read the book, you might still like this episode. The episode was still just so straightforward.
It
Like,
was kind of bland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the brother's like, okay,
There's
he's gonna turn her in. He's gonna call the
Yeah.
Inquisitor. The Inquisitor's
Yeah,
gonna,
there was no twists
yeah
at all. It was all
It was
very
just
like,
this
you
was
saw
very much
what was
the
coming
A
next.
to B. I'm
Yeah.
getting Ahsoka from point A to point B. And
But okay, sorry, were you done?
go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So to kind of parallel with Dooku's story, right? We were told when this was announced that all episodes were gonna kind of have like a thematic element to it. And I feel like the first two episodes of each arc do have that theme involved, whether it's like the animal or whether it's black and white Jedi politics.
Mhm.
But I feel like the last episode of each arc was just a story that helps
Mhm.
progress them to the next part of their greater role in the galaxy. Because I think for Dooku, I don't see a theme for that third episode of his. and maybe we can go ahead and transfer to that. Does anybody have anything else on Ahsoka?
I like what you said about the final 2 episodes. They really are, their whole purpose is, how do we get this character to the next place you see them?
Mhm.
And they did it for Dooku, they did it for Ahsoka, because the next place we see Ahsoka is Rebels. And yeah, that's a very good call out, is that they don't really follow the same themes. Dooku does a little bit better, more so than Ahsoka, but yeah, it's still a shift in tone.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
Alright,
because when you
so
get to when you get to Dooku 3, you've got the 2 corrupt senators in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then you turn the
Mhm.
about face to normal speaking Yaddle in episode 3. And I think that's where the theme is lost a little bit. She isn't like wrong. She's actually like, Dooku, I'm more or less on your side. I left the
Yeah.
council.
Yeah.
I agree with
Mhm.
you.
She's like, you're
So,
just going about it the wrong way.
yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice twist, because I was expecting the sanctimonious, like, you're going down a dark path,
Dooku,
like,
you're breaking my heart.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of more of what I was expecting when she started following him, and so to hear her say, like, no, I think you're right, I just don't want you to hurt people in the process, that kind of caught me off guard in a way that I appreciated.
Mhm.
alright. So first episode, we have Dooku and Qui-Gon on a mission to rescue a senator's son. And it kind of gives you the behind the scenes of Senate corruption, which we also get in the second episode, but both episodes kind of help Dooku travel along the lines of, okay, the Senate is corrupt, the Jedi are following them blindly. Where do I go from here? So, my first question to you guys is in episode 1, we have Dooku and Qui-Gon. Is Qui-Gon a Padawan in this? This is driving me insane, okay? He
He's a
doesn't have a
Padawan
Padawan
knight.
braid.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a Padawan braid.
I wonder if it's like Clone Wars when Anakin and Obi-Wan just still kind of chill together. They know they work well together, so they're just kind of
Yeah.
still there. Because we get it a little bit in Jedi Lost why they would still kind of work together. Can I just say, Jedi Lost Chapter 18, when Rael, Qui-Gon, and Dooku are speaking, and you can't tell who the hell is which.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Like, I'm so happy that they gave Qui-Gon a different voice here.
This is essential. This is essential.
Yes.
Script book.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
I do like
don't
it
know.
was Liam Neeson's son that voiced him too.
Yep.
It was
Agreed.
That was very
I
neat.
thought that
Yeah.
was really awesome.
That's awesome.
Kept that, like, it did make it feel better when they did have Liam Neeson. You're like, I could see that bridge a little bit.
Yeah.
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 Man, the shock of seeing like that episode line up with episode 1, but we're not there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was holding myself back because I almost said about the same thing. I was like, nope, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
the hard part about these first 2 episodes is they're incredibly hard to date, because
Yeah.
like Mace joining the council only precedes Dooku by like 2 years, and he seems to be and at the age that they're at, it's tough.
I think that was intentional, honestly. I don't think they want us dating those. I think they just kind of want them to
Probably
be
not.
focusing on the themes and not
Mhm.
that's something I kind of got from Tales of the Jedi in general, is that it felt like they were like, okay, I know you want to know all the details, but like they threw us a bone with a new Raxus. I felt like that, but for the most part, they were trying to avoid lore. They were just like, just focus on the story, focus on the themes,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, and Ryan, you
So,
called it a
that is
tone
actually
poem.
not New Raxus.
Yeah.
Well, it felt yeah. I the only one I know by name is Raxus Prime, so it felt like a new Raxus to me because I was like, oh, cool, another Raxus.
So
But
I looked it up
Secundus.
because I was wondering the same thing, because Raxus Prime, but on Wikipedia they had Raxus Secundus or whatever it's called. They had that under the Confederate capital, and so this
Yep.
is what they returned to in Clone Wars
oh,
for some of the Padme episodes when she's reaching out to the Confederacy.
now
I
that
That
think
makes
it's
me
in the Dark
wonder.
Jason
Disciple
Fry.
too.
I'm kind of wondering now if Dooku didn't like. Obviously, it would be a retcon, but that's the point of these kind of stories. I'm wondering if Dooku didn't like make a mental note of like places that had anti-Republic sentiments and was like, "That's going to be my first stop along the
Mhm.
way when I'm building my Confederacy."
He did like that one guy that captured that prisoner. He was like, I don't agree with how you did it, but like, you have a good point.
I like
So
your
yeah,
spirit.
he was from that.
I
Yeah.
I don't want you to keep doing this.
Stop killing people,
Our
please.
viewers at home can't see me winking. But-
Um, I lost my train of thought. Okay, somebody else say something.
What about the claws that those guards had?
oh my gosh, yeah.
I saw that and I was like, "What is the purpose? Are they weapons? Are they style? Like, I just want to know what they're for at this point
Yeah.
because they're humans. Like, and I mean, I think they're humans. They seem human. So like,
Yeah.
there's some reason, and I don't know.
There's
I'll accept that they're style. I just want to know for sure.
Yeah.
I love there's something about Clone Wars, like when the first episode opens and it's all the Togrutas. I watched it after Andor and I was like, oh my god, this feels like Star Wars. Like I just love seeing all these aliens. I love seeing stupid hats from the first Dooku episode. I love seeing clawed armor from this one. Like there's something that I love about Clone Wars that's just like, yeah, this is stupid. But here it is. Look at their hats.
Don't you love it? It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm
it's so
like,
stupid.
I
I
do.
love it.
Yes, thank you. I love that every Jedi is the same body with a different alien head. I love that some wear a hood just to be different. Like, I
Yeah,
love it. Keep giving it to me.
agreed.
Also, one thing that I was curious about is there's a lot of new models in these
Hmm.
to not come back to. Like, I don't know if any of you noticed the black, presumably female Jedi at the funeral right next to Mace, who
Mhm.
had like the braided hair going across
Yeah.
the archivist hair, and I was like, you don't make that just to make it. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
I did notice when I opened Tales of the Jedi to watch it the second time, they had prequel series focusing on Ahsoka Tano, Count Dooku, and others. So I already gotta wonder if they're leaving it open for a season 2.
I
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
feel like they are. I mean, especially with just how short the episode lengths are. I mean, I don't really know how much it costs to make one of these episodes, but I don't. I mean, they're stunning, so I could be wrong just in terms of animation, but
Hmm.
it feels like the short form is working in its favor here. Like I feel like we could get a lot of these of just about, you know, give me like we were saying earlier, like give us High Republic characters, give us Asajj Ventress. I mean, and then if they wanted to, I would not mind a season where it's like, 12 episodes focus on 4 characters. Like
mhm.
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
however they want to do it, I'm on board because all my gripes aside, I really did enjoy this series as a whole. So
It's a
I would like
positive
more.
gain that this series exists.
Yes, it has a net
Yeah.
gain. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's
Overall. Yeah.
but
I
like,
would love different writers to,
Agreed.
join
Uh-huh.
to
Yeah.
help when we bring, especially like if we're gonna do High Republic, bring the High Republic authors in to
mhm,
write their story. Like,
agreed.
100% agreed.
But I also like I love how this series can both be like, if you want 3 Mace episodes, you can have 3 Mace Window episodes. I don't personally know what stories those need to be told. That's why I don't write.
Yeah.
Do you need 3 episodes from Gunji between the Clone Wars and Bad Batch season 2? This is the show.
yes,
You can do those
yes.
backgrounds if you want.
Yeah.
Please.
Do they have a lightsaber? Okay, give them a few episodes.
Yeah.
Like, give me a
Exactly.
Terra Sinube origin story. Like, I would,
Yeah.
especially
Hell
after
yes.
That would
Obi-Wan,
be High
I would
Republic.
cry.
So I'm in.
Like, that's the kind of stuff I want, and I feel like this show, even more so than like Clone Wars, because Clone Wars would give us like an episode about a random character like that, but this feels
Mhm.
like we're getting like actual intimate looks at characters' lives as opposed to just, here's an adventure with that character.
Mhm.
So I'm really appreciating that.
Yep. All right, let's get to the third episode. Let's just go there. I think
Okay.
we've talked about the rest of it.
So, first off, I just want to say having Liam Neeson speaking with the voice actor of Dooku from the Clone Wars
It's so
gave
weird.
me
That's so
chills.
cool.
It was it was
Yeah.
weird at first, but it was like a good weird where I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, worlds are colliding, okay. But
Mhm.
like it's a moment I've wanted for a long time because we've got it in books, but I wanted to see adult Qui-Gon with Dooku, and I got that, and I was very happy about that.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, and then the other non-story related thing let's talk about Yaddle and how she speaks.
I guess, in the interview that he did say, like, I guess Frank Oz originally said he believed Yoda spoke like that because of it was honoring his master. And so they wanted to honor that aspect by saying, like, oh, yeah, he's the only one who's going to speak like that in his race. Whether or
So-
not, I feel like it would have been a lot more fun to have her do it. I would have preferred it, but
That just
I
means
need you
that
to send me
Yoda's
that
crazy,
interview, 'cause now
even
I'm
for like,
curious.
like even for Yoda's own people. They're like, why is he talking like that?
Yeah.
yes. I wonder Grogu didn't like really care about him. Didn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grogu,
I don't know.
Grogu's like, that guy was
speaking
creepy.
Yeah, my
gibberish,
crazy
man.
drunk uncle. But to be fair, we do have to say she spoke with regular basic syntax and out of the
Mhm.
shadows. So we already kind of
Yep.
knew this. We just hoped.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
that's
I
true.
had forgotten about that.
Well, now we know it was Bryce Dallas Howard's voice, though, so that makes that part a little bit better.
Yes.
Oh, like she can
I love
direct,
that.
she can voice act. Let's bring her back.
She can
Yeah.
act.
Yep.
Let's
Yeah.
bring
Triple
her in
threat.
as a
Yep.
regular character.
Oh, yeah, I guess she is also an actor. I forgot about that. I try not to think about Jurassic World if I can.
I love Jurassic World. Oh, I know I'm the oddball on that one. Anyways,
I like 2 of the Jurassic World movies.
You're both the oddballs. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm easily
All right.
entertained.
So this episode takes place congruently and in line with the Phantom Menace. And we kind of open up and Dooku is walking the temple alone. And he goes to delete Camino from the database using Sifo-Dyas's password and information. And then he walks out. He learns that Qui-Gon has reported to the council that he has faced a Sith Lord. And then he gets to talk to Qui-Gon. And then we kind of transition to after Qui-Gon's death, where Yaddle is like, the council is going to Naboo. And it feels like an insinuation of, hey, you want to tag along? And Dooku's like, he's with the Force now, blah, blah, blah. And then he leaves and goes and meets with Palpatine. Yaddle follows. Yaddle dies.
Can I just
Are you
say I
sorry?
felt like the conversation between Qui-Gon and Dooku kind of helped explain some of the animosity from Dooku towards Obi-Wan, because they had that conversation where he said, like, I'm not going to be able to protect you anymore, and Qui-Gon said, well, that's what I have Obi-Wan for. And like, it makes
Mhm.
me wonder, does he hold
Dang.
Obi-Wan responsible for Qui-Gon's death?
Nice.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Ooh.
That's very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. I love Yaddle kind of chasing him down. And can we just talk about the fact that Count Dooku has weirder syntax than Yaddle? Because she's like, "Are you going to be able to let him go?" And Dooku goes, "What choice have I?" And I was like, "That's a Yaddle line."
He trained under Yoda.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
okay, true.
I'm just saying.
He's
he
honoring
picked
his
it
master.
up.
Yeah.
We're honestly, it's more surprising that Qui-Gon talks normally at this point.
Fair.
Yeah.
But I want to put this out there. The duel between Yaddle and Dooku was just like the pinnacle of Clone Wars duel, and I loved it. I was so happy
was
for
good.
it. I was a little bummed. I thought Twin Sons did well when Obi-Wan and Maul didn't really duel.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
didn't totally sell me with Ahsoka and the Inquisitor. I'm gonna call him the
Same.
Nth Inquisitor. Like it was fine. I don't think
Yeah.
it had the same. The Ben and Maul duel had the reason to do that one that I don't think
Yes.
Ahsoka and the Inquisitor did. So it's seeing like Yaddle and Dooku just going all out, and I love Palpatine, who's always like his model's always looking down, and his hood's like over his looking down, and he's just standing there like being creepy, like "Ooh, good duel, good duel."
I really do wonder how much money Ian McDermott has made over the years just as Palpatine.
Oh yeah.
And Palpatine was so stone cold, because I love how Dooku's like, he didn't have to kill Qui-Gon. He's like, well, we both lost an apprentice, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Like, we're both out on money on this one, so it is what it is.
He had
But-
this beautiful Krennic moment too, where he's like, "Yeah, and you betrayed all your friends to do it," and then Yaddle shows up and he's like, "I guess you're betraying me too."
Yeah, it was so good. I'm Palpatine's one of my favorite villains. He's the character I love to hate. And
Mhm.
so like I'm
Yeah.
very happy that we're in this golden age of Ian McDiarmid coming back like every 6 months.
Yes.
Like that makes me happy.
Mhm.
Like I was saying earlier, I want him in Andor. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
give me more.
Mhm.
I kind of wish in the Yaddle duel that when the door closed, that was it. Because I was just like,
Mm.
that was such a cold way of like taking her out.
Kinda thought
I
that.
get that it's like it's more personal and it is a better like way for him to make that transition when he does have to do the final blow. I was just like, no Jedi has really died by like door before, and I was like, that could be really cool.
Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, the part about that bugged me was that I thought like shouldn't Dooku and Sidious have been able to sense that Yaddle's presence was like still there? Like
No.
Maybe.
because they were both just like, cool, she's dead, and like immediately just accepted it as fact. And like I personally, like if I had been, planning for decades, I wouldn't just be like, yeah, she's dead, we're good, let's go. Like
Yeah.
I would check for a body. But
Yeah.
Well, he learns with Yoda. He says, "There's no body. Go look."
very true.
But-
That's what this is. You know what? Okay, that helped smooth that over a
It
little
all
bit
makes
for
sense
me.
now.
But-
it ties in with Geonosis too. Again, when he just drops stuff on Anakin
Yeah.
and Obi-Wan,
Mhm.
he's
Well-
not. He'd rather not kill him if he doesn't have to. He'd rather let the stones or the door kill him.
And it follows completely different characters, but a friend of mine pointed out that it kind of felt like a reversed light side version of the scene in Rebels when Kanan and Ezra drop the AT-AT on Vader and he lifts it up with one hand. Like it
Yeah.
felt like a kind of a reverse of that to me. And once he pointed that out, I was like, you know what? I feel that. That's true.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, again for me, I want to know what Dooku is in this. I want to know what role he's playing, if he's just traveling the temple, because to me, my arguments are he's called Master Dooku by Yaddle, and then he's kind of like given all this information that I feel like still like does he have the security clearance to know that Qui-Gon just had a duel with the Sith Lord potentially?
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit before, and my thoughts on that, I found a way to headcanon this pretty well to smooth it over, is that I think a lot of it is just Dooku's earned goodwill. I think like them
Yep.
calling him master, them letting him walk around the temple, I think it's just like they just don't expect him to be a threat at that point. Like it
Mhm.
kind of goes back to Attack of the Clones where they're like, I mean, he's not part of the Jedi Council
Oh,
anymore,
yeah,
but he's
just
still a Jedi.
politician. Yeah.
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 Like, and I that's kind of where my mind's at, is like it doesn't rub me as wrong because I just see it as them like showing him respect, and therefore
Yeah.
Well, it makes when Mace is like, okay, civilian Tano. Like
Yeah.
and that was
They-
something I brought up.
it shows
Yeah.
like that real separation where they're just like, oh yeah, it's master. Because like that's the thing with Jedi Lost. He left on mostly amicable terms.
Mhm.
He's
Mhm.
not like, I'm gonna become a Sith Lord. Bye. He's just like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna take care of my planet. You guys aren't.
Yeah.
So when he comes by, everyone's just like, okay, cool. He's
Yep.
here.
Dooku's here for a visit. Cool.
Yep.
Nice to see him again.
The only person who has a problem is Obi-Wan when he's having an anxiety attack. No one else has
True.
real. So I like that Padawan did that. Like no one's like, oh, what the hell's he doing here? And it's like, yeah, he's
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I did like that they finally gave us a scene with Dooku and Jocasta together, because I'm of the belief that Jocasta has a crush on Dooku. Because there was like that deleted scene where she's like lingering with his statue,
oh,
And so,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just always been in the back of my head. So the fact that we got the two of them on screen, I'm like, yeah, give me some shipping
Confirmed.
material. Yeah,
everyone who gets Jocasta now, because isn't Jedi Lost 2, they're like, they have to talk. You gotta get the shippers, gotta get the
Yep.
Jocasta do. What's their ship name? I don't know.
That one's pretty good. I'll give you that one.
Dooku?
Ooh. Hmm.
Oh.
Ooh. This is good. We'll have to fire it out to the
Jocasta?
shippers. Ooh. This is this isn't a crack ship. What's like the name for just a normal ship everyone should have? I guess that's just shipping.
Yeah, as I said, I think that's just a ship.
But
All right, y'all. Well, is there anything we missed?
I will say that what really drove this final episode for me to where I was kind of not sure whether or not or how I felt about it at first. When I realized I liked it was that it made me feel about Dooku the way I feel about Anakin every time I watch Revenge of the Sith. Is I was hoping it would go a different way. Like I knew what was gonna happen,
Mhm.
and I still felt like, please don't do this. And I've never felt like that about Dooku before. Even with Jedi Lost, I didn't feel like that during like the dark side scenes. It just felt like something that was inevitable, and that's a sign of good storytelling to me. Is that like if I know what's coming and I'm still like, please don't do this, don't turn bad.
Yeah.
You've done a good job to me.
I think this is finally like I know there's a Clone Wars episode, but this is the heroes on both sides.
Yes.
Like Dooku
Mhm.
was right. These senators are messed up.
Yeah.
Like they
and
shouldn't have.
they didn't beat around the bush with it either. Like they
Yeah.
straight up showed us like
Yeah.
senators are
Yeah.
messing stuff up and getting away with it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna go around the table, and you've got to quickly rank all 6 episodes.
Oh boy.
So it's gonna be in the order that they're on Disney Plus.
Which is
so
just a
so
crazy order. Like what was that about?
I think it's
Yeah.
in chronological order technically.
That would mean
maybe.
that Ahsoka was
No.
born
Well, yeah.
while Qui-Gon was training with Dooku. Unless he's not a Padawan, and you're right, Katie. I don't
I
know
think he's
now.
a
I'm
Padawan,
confused.
but
Now I'm confused.
again, I like timelines. I don't know, but
No.
it made sense for it. That's the only reason the order makes sense. I think to me,
The
is
order to me is order
chronological.
from happiest to saddest.
Wait, who's saddest though? Me or the character? Because if it
That's
ends with the
true.
Inquisitor, I'm the saddest.
I mean, I guess it would be both in that case.
All right. So it's gonna be Ahsoka as a baby, Dooku Qui-Gon, Dooku Mace, Dooku Yaddle, Ahsoka and Anakin, and we'll just say Ahsoka and Inquisitor. So who wants to go first? I'll go first, and then that way y'all can have more time to think.
Okay. Yeah.
So for me, definitely, I think Ahsoka and Anakin is first. That's the episode that hit me the hardest, without a doubt. 2 is Dooku and Yaddle. I think it was a great episode. And then I think it's going to be Ahsoka as a baby, Dooku Mace, Dooku Qui-Gon, and then Ahsoka and Inquisitor.
I'm kind of there. I would put Dooku Yaddle first. Then I would do Baby Soka. Then the middle Soka. Then Then the other 2 Dookus. They could switch really easily because they feel like
Yeah.
they're about the same. And then put the Inquisitor last, not just because of the canon, just because I thought it was the most straightforward.
Yeah.
Boring. But I've already defended
Yeah.
that position.
Mine's pretty similar. Mine's kind of like a mix between you guys. So I would say my first one is the Anakin and Ahsoka one. I think I'm probably biased just for my Anakin love on that one. Then after that would be Dooku Yaddle. And not even because of the stuff with Yaddle, honestly, just the stuff with Dooku and Qui-Gon was what really did that one for me. Then after that would be the Dooku Qui-Gon episode, so kind of thematically similar. Then Dooku Mace, Baby Ahsoka, and then the Inquisitor episode.
Nice.
All right, Ryan, finish it off.
Yeah, I would do the Ahsoka baby as 1.
I respect it.
I would actually do then the first Dooku and young Qui-Gon as 2nd. Then Dooku Yaddle 3. Probably practice makes perfect. The Anakin Ahsoka 1, and then Dooku and Mace and Ahsoka Inquisitor.
Go outside.
So yours are almost in chronological order.
Pretty close, yeah.
What I love about the way that our rankings varied, -1, was that it just speaks to the way the show can speak to so many people. Like for me, when you watch Clone Wars, I feel like the arc all 4 episodes kind of rose and fell on its own. You either liked Andor or you didn't like Andor.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I thought towards the end, episode 3 was always getting very long with these 4-part arcs, but like
Mhm.
you were in trouble if you didn't like part 1 of an arc, because
Yeah.
you got 3 more weeks.
That
to
was it.
go.
Yeah.
But like, I like how this one had so much that could speak to us, and they're quick. We don't have to watch the ones we don't like. We can watch
Yeah.
the ones we like, and it's not an hour and a half commitment
Mhm.
like it used to be.
Mhm.
I could put this on like while I'm on my break at work and just watch one real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, just to kind of shout Garrick and Lewis out because I did ignore y'all. I'm sorry, but we had a lot of people on today and a lot to get through. So Garrick said hello at the beginning of the chat.
Hello.
He said that he loved that Mon's charity runner is named Kay. And then he said bye because he needed to watch Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
then Lewis popped on and said that episode 4 for Tales of the Jedi is the best one. Which that one is Dooku and Yaddle.
Yeah.
And then he said episode 8 of Andor was great and hope to get more scenes with Saul and Luthen in the rest of the show.
100%.
Same.
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
yeah, I would love a Saul Luthen scene every episode from now on. Like, I love the two of them together. They were fantastic.
You know, like the Pixar shorts when it's just like a completely unrelated thing. I want a Pixar short, but it's Luthen and Saw before any episode of anything.
Yeah.
Like, why is
Yep.
Mando season 3 opening with Luthen and Saw? Because I want it.
And then it's like 20 years later, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's like totally unrelated. It's like a
Yeah.
in the middle.
What was that there for? I don't know. It
Yeah.
needed to be.
Nope.
They could be the mid-credit stinger.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, this has been a great episode. I feel like
Yeah.
there has been awesome discussion. Thanks
Mhm.
for being here to celebrate 100 episodes.
Woo! Woo!
And if you've been here live in the chat, thanks for being here too. We appreciate you joining in on all the
Yes.
fun. So Chris, where can they find you and plug what you got?
Well, you're gonna find us at the same place at the Minot Manor. Next week, I think I can at least say mine. I got a copy of Quest. I got the next High Republic novel book yesterday because the Books a Million did me nice and put it out yesterday, a
Ooh.
full week early. So I'm reading Quest for the Hidden City right now. Just read the first 200 pages in about one sitting, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I'll have that on Tuesday. And
Can't wait.
after that, we're going to finish up the New Jedi Order in a Legendary Adventure series. Because both Ryan and I agree Dark Nest is not the way to end a year. And it may not be the way to start a year, but you know what? We're going to do it anyway.
I love Dark Nest so much. I'm very tempted to read it along with you. Because those I have a blast in those. They're so fucking weird. But
They are-
it's so
They're weird.
Yes.
And I'll say this now before I write them. Like, they definitely keep a little bit of that Star Wars weirdness before it just gets into a little too much sci-fi in the Legacy of the Force, and then too much fantasy in the Fate of the
Mhm.
Jedi. So it
Yeah.
still does all right. So yeah, we'll have and
Yeah.
it's gonna be all High Republic for me here on out. I like Andor's great. I love Andor, but the second another High Republic blue box hits my eyeballs, I don't care about anything else. So
Yeah.
we'll have Convergence coming up soon, and I'm trying to read in chronological. Or I'm trying to read in release order. So
Same.
Ryan's Convergence will be out before mine, but those are going to be
Mhm.
my next couple big things. I'm also going to be on this episode of Star Wars Alliance. If you're listening to that show, oh wait,
Ooh.
Show out here.
wait a sec.
Can't wait to hear it.
But yeah, so that's me. That's me.
You got to Ryan, plug what you got.
Minot Manor. That's where I'm going to be. You'll find me on Twitter, trying to interact in between my customers at my day job, and just trying to keep up with stuff.
Feel that, man.
But yeah, I'll have covering all the new High Republic stuff, all the new comic books. Working on reviews for half the stuff. Accidentally publishing drafts occasionally on the website by accident. It's really fun stuff. And
Been
yeah,
there, done
looking forward to. We're really looking forward to Chris's legendary adventures here, kind of bringing us to the big closure of New Jedi Order. So
Yep.
I will do
Zach,
exactly
what you
what
got?
James Luceno did. 4 pages of every Jedi on Sonoma Seacot. That'll get the SEO going.
Yep.
yes.
Why not?
You can find me on Twitter at Flying Gray Sun, where you can read some of my unhinged tweets. I retweet funny stuff, and I try to be funny myself. I'll let you guys decide whether or not I am.
Yes, and once again, shout out to Zach for covering Clay on his paternity leave. We really appreciate it.
It's been a blast. It seriously has. I've really enjoyed my time.
Y'all know y'all are welcome back anytime, and that applies for the Minoc guys. So
Thank you.
y'all, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Slice of Katie. This show you can find on Twitter. It's at Star Wars Alliance with the A and the Wars. Very important. Don't forget it. And then my other show on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network is Slice of Film. And next Monday, we are going to be talking about Edward Scissorhands, and that will be my first watch
Oh,
of Edward
okay.
Scissorhands. So I'm very
wow.
excited. Yes.
Cool.
So that will be on the GUA feed. Obviously, you can find Star Wars Alliance on the GUA feed, but you can also find it by searching Star Wars Alliance in your favorite podcatcher of choice. Next week for Star Wars Alliance, I will actually be hosting Kate from But Why Though? She is the editor-in-chief there, and she is coming on to talk about Andor. She loves the show, and I'm looking forward to having her on. We will also be talking about the Star Wars movie news that hit, and of course, any news that hits next week. So you can make sure to be back here. It will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. And then, of course, Chris kind of already talked about it, but Quest for the Hidden City, the next High Republic book will be out next Tuesday. Clay and I did receive copies from Disney Books. So we are getting together to record that tomorrow. And then we will also be hitting Clay's thoughts on Tales of the Jedi since he can't join next week. So those, you can check out 2 episodes next week for us. So yeah. And again, I will be posting the giveaway winners between now and Saturday. Just give me some time. I promise I will post them. And yeah, that's it. So y'all, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the force be with you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.